All right, what's up, guys? I'm going to continue taking a look at the isolated queen pawn, the IQP, the Isolani. Again, I'm going through this book, Chess Structure as a Grandmaster Guide by Mauricio Flores Rios, and he is freaking awesome. This book is legit. So we're going to be taking a look at isolated queen pawn, only this side, this time from black side. They're going to be the ones with the IQP. And this game is between Alexander Huzman and Levon Aronian. And as I'm sure you know, Aronian is freaking legit, gangster. So let's go ahead and get started and take a look at this game. We start off with the ready, and then quickly transpose into a Nimzo Indian. And this is the Rogozin variation. Knight bd7 and queen t2. So this queen t2 move is standard in most Nimzo Indians that you're going to see. Common placement for the queen right there. So from here, c5, which is a common pawn thrust for black, Nimzo Indian. So right here, we're kind of forcing white to make a decision. They want to give up their bishop pair, which they decline to, and castles. Now, this move is kind of a waste of time because black already wants to recapture on c5. There's no point in giving up the bishop pair now because you're not going to be damaging white's pawn structure, which is kind of the idea behind the Nimzo Indian, is that you take the knight on c3, doubling the c-pawns, and try to get counterplay that way. So from there, we have bishop recaptures on c5. So essentially got a free tempo out of the deal. Flores recommends a match between Carlsen and Ivanchuk in Romania in 2011, where instead of a3, what was played was e3, bishop takes c5, rook c1, queen e7, bishop e2, a6, queen d3, knight b6 right here. And castles in this position is about equal. So looks like a slight negative 0.1, but it's, for all things considered, that's pretty much equality right there. So back here we have bishop takes c5, e3, a6, bishop e2, b5 castles, bishop b7, rook fd1, rook to c8, bishop to e1, which these moves, these backwards moves, are always really strange for me. I'm assuming this is theory of some sort, but I never fully understand them. Rook to e8, and rook on a to c1. So from here we have this knight maneuver, rook to f8, where black's knight is heading to e6. So that's the whole point of that maneuver. Then will help support the pawn break d4. So that's the idea behind that one. So he suggests, actually, instead of knight f8, he's saying somewhat stronger would be knight b6, heading towards the c4 square right here. So after this, let's say we had knight to d4, c4, knight c4, sorry, bishop f3, queen e7, h3, and queen e5. So this is about equal, maybe the favor. It's a little bit in black. but we have equality here. So there's he's saying black is slightly better as the isolated d5 pawn is well supported, and you may create pressure on the center and king side, eventually with bishop to d6, and then knight to e4. So right here. So that's the idea behind that. But instead he plays a knight to f8, coming in to knight to e6. So from there we have, let's see, knight f8, knight d4, queen b6, bishop f3. So it was necessary to support the d4 square. So better was queen d2 right here, and I should probably turn the evaluation off. I like going through games without computer analysis, just because when I play I don't have computer analysis, so it's better to get kind of the idea behind why I'm playing certain moves and understand that versus what the computer says. Although it's good to always go back and analyze your games with a computer once you're done. So better was queen d2. Sorry, queen d2, knight e6, knight takes e6, queen takes e6, or possibly f takes e6 right there, and then we'll go into the hanging pawn position. But queen takes e6, and bishop f3, bishop b6, with the standard Isolani position, standard IQP. So that's just something to consider. But instead, we have bishop f3. And from here, the bishop captures on d4. Rook recaptures. And now this knight comes to e6 with tempo. We have d4. Let's see. And then from here, we're able to get our d4 pushing. So this is actually going to be a sacrifice to the isolated pawn, but in doing so, he's going to be able to activate all of his pieces and have all these open lines. So the compensation that he gets, we'll see, is going to be well worth it. So bishop takes b7, queen takes b7, and then much worse, it says, is e takes d4. So after e takes d4, bishop takes f3, g takes f3, knight takes d4, queen d1, and rook takes e1, check. So let's see. This is much, much better for white. I'm sorry, for black. So that's why instead of recapturing that way, recaptures with the bishop here, then recapturing e takes d4. There, knight e4 and rook back d to d1, and then we have this. So now we have two really strong knights over on the king side and open files. So the compensation that black gets for this pawn seems to be pretty substantial. Here in this instance, we can't take. Let's see. I mean, you wouldn't want to recapture this way for obvious reasons, and this would still be hanging here as well. So this knight's kind of pinned down due to this rook right here. Also, we're gonna see later that there's going to be a lot of back rank issues, and especially once some of these rooks come up and try and support the d4 pawn. So we have d5, and this blocks this a1 h8 diagonal right here. That's kind of the idea behind that. A5, grabbing some space on the queen side. Going to start an attack over there as well. Also, again, this knight's pinned, so this pawn's coming here. It's going to be kind of disastrous for white. You can tell things are unraveling pretty quickly once black has been able to get in that d5, d4 push. So from here, queen exits the pin. Then we have the b4 push. A takes b4, A takes b4, and a2. Then rook e2 check, winning in exchange. That knight c1, knight f6, d6, queen c6, right here, a2. And I like this move right here, which is pretty awesome because clearly the rook can't come down because we have checkmate right on that back leg. So that's where white resigned right there. So pretty fascinating game, I thought. So it really shows you the power, even if you sacrifice that isolated pawn. But to get in that, I guess this wouldn't be d4, d5, it would be d5, d4 break. That's going to just do wonders for your position. So that's pretty much it. I think we're going to do some tactics. Thanks for watching.